So last week when I was up in Winston-Salem, I made a vlog, and when I was driving home I did say it's probably going to be my last tournament for quite some time. And I mean, I'm not hanging them up for good, that would be crazy talk, but if I want to start competing again and being competitive, I'm going to need a plan for these next couple months if I want to get myself to a state in my game where I don't feel like I'm just hopeless out there playing tournament golf. So this plan, I think it's something that, yes, it's going to benefit me, but I think it's going to benefit anyone watching this, because if you're approaching your game and you have a quest to improve, I want to break into 3 pillars that I think you need to focus on and that I'm going to focus on so that when I start competing again, I won't be crappy. Those 3 pillars are my equipment, my technique, and my mental game. So when it comes to my equipment, generally speaking, everything in the bag is pretty good. I haven't really had a proper fitting probably since the beginning of 2018. 2019 I did a fitting, but it was coming off of arm surgery, elbow surgery, so we kind of guessed a little bit, and the more that I'm playing, the more that I've healed, the more that my swing has changed a little bit. Really, all I've dialed in my bag is my driver, getting the right shaft to go with the sim head. But everything else has just been kind of using what works. That being said, everything works pretty well. I don't think I need to change anything, but I think it'd be in my best interest to get a fitting and see if my irons and the shafts and everything are working well for me. I do know for a fact I need to change the shafts in my wedges. I launched my wedges way too high. Generally speaking, I'm an okay wedge player. I'm either a great wedge player or I really struggle. And I struggle with flighting it. I don't spin it a lot, like I'm hitting them high, but they're not overly spinny, but I'm launching my wedges at like 40 degrees, 35, 42. Like I'm launching them just stock way too high. So that's something I need to look into. I need to get some shafts in my wedges that help me launch it a little lower with those full swings, 3/4 swings, which will then in turn allow me to flight it a lot better and control it better and score better with the wedges. So equipment wise, don't need to overhaul the bed. That's not what I'm proposing. And especially for you, if you're looking to kind of plan to improve, you gotta look into your equipment. Is your equipment best suited for you? And it doesn't mean overhaul everything. It means maybe look at a few things where you're losing some strokes and fine tune those. I'm gonna practice a little bit and then try to get out on the golf course. And when we're out there, then we can talk about the technique side and the mental side. So this is exactly the type of shot I was talking about. I got 122 quartering wind. My sand wedge, my 54 degree is like 120. So I'm gonna hit a full one here, but you're gonna see just how high it goes. And that's just something that I would love to be able to bring it down when I make a full swing. Dead pin high, but that thing was in the stratosphere. The spin's not high, but the launch is just too high, and there's just, you want to see it down a little bit. Perfect club, perfect yardage, 120 yard club, but there's something that's not crazy confidence instilling seeing a wedge go that high in the air. Not a very good putt. Obviously, this second pillar technique, golf is a technical game. You have to keep refining your swing. You have to keep working on your swing, no matter how good or solid you feel you're swinging it. You can always improve. And for me, people want to criticize on here that I'm too technical, which I find I have a hard time understanding, because you're only like hearing what I share with you. You're not in my head. Like, I'm not very technical when I'm out there. Early in my career, I was incredibly technical. I'm technical when I work on things. Yeah, that's a given. But when I'm out on the golf course, I'm not really thinking about my swing. I almost just freeze up, but we'll get into that when it comes to the mental side. But the technique, I'm happy with how I'm swinging it, but obviously there's things that need to change. There's things that need to tighten up. How I use my lower body and how much I trust that needs to tighten up. When I get tight and short and quick, I yank the club back inside, so that needs to be refined. But both of these are kind of mental things that lead into the technique. So for me, when it comes to the technique, there's not much I need to do other than maintain it, trust it, and just keep grooving it in. I really am happy with how we're swinging it. Dan and I have done some really good work. If I were to be critical, I'd like to be hitting it a little bit further, so I think I need to work on lengthening the driver swing and getting a little bit more speed in driver. Everything else is fine. And yes, I do have a tendency to get a little steep and a little I lose a bit of the angle at impact, so that's how I can hit it higher. And my shafts are shafts that do hit the golf ball high. I get that. But that can be one thing why it is a little harder for me to flight my wedges, is it is a little bit harder for me to really lean the shaft through impact. I tend to dump it a little bit when I'm not on song, and you're not on song all the time. So it's about how strong is your technique when things are off. That's what I really need to work on for these next couple of months, so that I have something I can really trust when it comes to tournament golf, and knowing that everything I've done physically is on point, and let's just free it up, let it go, and compete and that stuff, which is the mental thing, which is the next pillar, which we'll play a few more holes and talk about that. 119, what do you know? See, this is what I just talked about. This bunker, used to be able to carry this bunker. It's about 285, 290 to carry. I'm struggling to carry this bunker. That's where the technique, getting a little deeper, getting a little faster, needs to happen with driver. But here we go, sand wedge. This is one where if I kind of dump it a little too soon, it's gonna be really hard to control my distance and get it right there. So 119, this is just full sand wedge. All right. Now this is something technical that is no secret to anyone that's been watching the channel for some time. Putting is easily the strongest part of my game. It's something that happened in the wake of breaking my elbow. I spent so much time working on my putting, trying to rediscover how I putted as a kid, because that was the strength of my game as a kid, and we found it. But if we were to talk about the technique, obviously there's nothing I need to change about the technique, but I need to make sure I keep practicing it. Even though it's something that's really solid, maintenance practice is very, very important. If I focus so much on the long game and everything, I can lose this bit of touch and this technique and this strength here. So in these couple months of practice, can't skimp on putting work, just maintenance and making sure I don't drop my standard when it comes to putting. Hit it! Ah. Okay, the mental pillar. This is the one that I think is something that is important for every golfer and maybe overlooked by the majority of golfers, but also something that I think people on the channel think I need to work on the most. And yes and no. I'm so far from where I used to be mentally as a golfer. I used to get so upset, so frustrated, and just so down. And I don't. I take everything in stride right now. I have a smile on my face, 66 or 86. Like, it doesn't really matter. I think it's just I've grown up. Priorities have changed. I'm in a great place. I've got something I'm doing that I love. And for the first time in my professional career, I don't want to say I don't have to worry about making money when I play, but I don't have to worry about making money when I play, because up until this year, everything I did was basically taking away from my bank account to play, and then it would be like, okay, well, you need to make that back in. But thankfully, this channel has now allowed me the ability to earn a living making videos and all the things that come with that. But obviously I can't go and just fully invest into playing, because if I stop doing this, well, then there's no income coming in. So I know I say reps a lot, and like that's where comfort comes from. But for me, I'm just not afforded the luxury right now of competitive reps. So what do? How do I get comfortable in tournament golf again? Well, I just have to figure it out, right? Like, it's not like an excuse, but just figure it out. So mentally, my hurdles when I compete is I don't feel comfortable, so then I begin to doubt, second guess, and then you make bad swings. And it's only in tournament golf where you hit a golf ball in places that you've never even imagined, or you have scenarios that you could never even think to create and practice. It just seems to be the way. Or you do things that you never do. You dub chips, you miss tap-ins, like just the dumbest crap happens in tournament golf. And a lot of it is because mentally you're just not concentrating. And well, why? And that's unique to every player, and you really have to kind of dig into what is holding you back. And for me, obviously I don't know the exact reason of what's holding me back. I can guess at things. I don't think I can explain it all here, but I need to first and foremost get comfortable out there again. And that comes from, in my situation, playing a lot more golf and getting comfortable in any scenario, and getting comfortable over the golf ball, turning my brain off and thinking about a target. When I trust what I've selected and what I'm doing, there's no room for doubt, and you make good swings. And that last round I played in Winston-Salem, that was the first round in almost a year where I stood over a lot of shots with 100% confidence, and I executed most of the time, and that was great. And I was just a little sloppy, and I lost my concentration 6 times, and that basically cost me 6 strokes. It's about narrowing it in, getting comfortable, and silencing doubt. And for me, the mental side of things, sure, I can do work, I can read books, I can do all of that. I've done all that. I just need to figure out what is going to work for me right now. And ultimately, it's just get on the golf course more and practice your routine, practice clearing the mind, practice standing over golf shots with 100% confidence. And if I'm not, back away. That's the thing. I think rushing with filming sometimes happens, or just out playing with your buddies, rushing to play in a quick time. You don't do that. So that's, I think, my big hurdle, and that's what's going to have to happen to me. And for me, it's just, it's doubt, trust, and then from that, comfort. And the comfort, I've played so much tournament golf. I have that deep in my memory. I can draw into that. But when I'm going into these tournaments one-off, it kind of makes me think of a video Peter Finch just uploaded, which is amazing. I'll link it right here. It's mastery versus ego, and the ego is focusing on the score. The ego isn't like, I'm a big deal, oh my gosh. You're just focusing on results. Mastery is focusing on the process and just hitting a good shot, executing what you envisioned in your mind. That's where I need to kind of tighten it up again. Focus on the mastery, fall in love with that, not the ego, not let ego take hold and be thinking about result and outcome, and then the video and all of that. And then the other thing in this video he talks about is like over the ball, asking yourself questions rather than statements. Statements don't trigger the things in your brain that make the subconscious mind take over. Statements make the conscious mind, and the conscious mind is how we get in our own way. Asking questions. What does this shot look like? What does it feel like? And when I was playing my best golf, that's how I played. I was like, what does it feel like? What feels like this right here? Boom, let's go do it. And I did it. So it's that video, again, it's an amazing video Peter made, because he went from shooting 82 in a tournament to a 70 in the next tournament like a week later. And like, what happened? And he kind of clicked on something mentally. So that's kind of where I'm at as well. So enough talk. I need to go out here and play and get comfortable and start asking questions rather than stating things to myself, and letting mastery take over rather than ego when it comes to the mental. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're going to learn something from this and look at your game in this way. Like, what do you need to do to get better in these 3 pillars? I don't think you should overlook any of them, but obviously the mental one is probably the most important. So dive into that. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. And yeah, let's go play some good golf, everybody. Peace.